In this episode, I grab another handful of G.I. Joes and I take a look at some of the collectibles in my collection. So, stick around. Hello and welcome back to It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. Tonight, we take a look at another handful of G.I. Joe figures, and I got two pieces, I'm giving two pieces from my collection I'd like to show you this evening. So, let's dive in, shall we?
Yo, Joe!
As with every fistful of Joes, I have one of my handy dandy boxes here, and I'm going to blindly grab a handful of G.I. Joe figures. I don't know how many this is, but we got some file cards, so let's see. Okay, let's get this out of the way and take a look, shall we? As I knock the mic out of the way. Okay, first off, this is a very unusual piece. Darklon. He was a member of Destro's Iron Grenadiers, and I believe he came with his vehicle. I don't think he was ever carded separately. Now, what's interesting about this one is this is a custom repaint. The vintage toy store that I bought it at was selling it this way, probably from someone else's collection, but it just looked so awesome. I just had to have it. And if I'm not mistaken, they actually had it cheaper than listed because someone had painted on it. But I don't know if you can see, but they did a great job of like highlighting the little bolts and stuff in his armor with red paint. They did a little art thing under his eye there, little symbol. But this is a sweet figure. I think he gets criticized a lot for being like a latter in the series character when they started going downhill, right before the Eco Warriors and Ninja Force and all that. But this repaint, his colors weren't that, they were it was like a drab green and brown camouflage, if I'm remembering correctly, which I think I am. But he came with a kick-ass gun. Unfortunately, I don't have that. But let's see what's next. Okay. This is another Fun School figure. Whoops. Fun School Zartan. You can instantly tell that it's not one of the original, even though it looks great. It's because he doesn't have the removable chest plate or the removable guards on his forearms or shins. But it's a great vintage sculpt. And like with the quick kick in one of the past Fistful of Joes, I got this like direct from an Indian distributor and didn't pay a lot. And this was when I was first getting back into collecting Joe figures, and I thought, what the hey, I'll probably never own a Zartan again, especially a vintage one from my childhood. So this is the next best thing. Side story, I did find one, and I'm sure we'll get to that one day. But he even comes with his little mask here. Let's pop it on. Ah. Now here's a question. How many people growing up thought that that was his hair and not a hood? Of course we know nowadays it's a hood. But back in the day I thought it was his hair. See, and that's one of the problems with the Fun Schools. It just does not fit properly. Of course my hands are all up in the way here, but it does not fit properly with it because his hood is molded a lot more rigid than the original figures was. Which is good, because some of the problems with the original figure was some of the ripping in the hood around where you would put his mask. But still, a great figure. Happy to have it in my collection. I have an empty bag, and that kind of distresses me to who is not where they need to be. Anyway, next, it's very rare for me to keep file cards. I think my parents ended up throwing away a bunch of them, but Deep Six, not very posable, of course. Always ridiculed for that. But that is an awesome figure. Oh, very loose. Hey, 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 go dance. But used to have a hose that would go there at the little plunger thing that would get him to rise and fall in the water like he's bobbing. And of course he came with the shark. But, like I said, have his file card. Shark Driver. Deep Six. These, masterful way for a toy to tell the story. A lot of toys aren't coming out of left field like G.I. Joe was in the day. Everything's attached to a movie or a TV show or friggin' wrestling. But back then, this is what powered your imagination. Because he wasn't in the TV show that much. He had his place during one of the mini-series, but didn't get that much exposure. So this told the story. And the comics, of course. G.I. Joe was, as I said, was something at the time that you could get 3 separate stories all involving characters that you loved. You had the cartoon, the toys, and the comic book. And the comic book was, of course it sounds silly saying it out loud, but was a little bit more adult than a lot of the other cartoon and toy tie-ins. The Magic of Larry Hama. Ooh, now this is a very old one. Oh no! And somewhere along the line, he broke his O-ring. Shoot. Good thing I have replacements, because he definitely needs it. Ooh, I don't know if you can see that in there, but it's actually dry rotted around the little metal hook there. So I'll have to pop him open if I can. Unfortunately, he's so old, he's a little rusted up, so I might not be able to even get that screw out without stripping it. But that's a project for another day, unfortunately. Like I said, I have extra O-rings, so I'm going to try to fix them. 1982. Well, actually 83, because he has the swivel arm. So he's kind of a reproduction of the original when they introduced the swivel arms into existence. He still looks good just like that, but oh, he gets bisected. Oh, sorry, dude. Looks like Bishop from Aliens in the bag there. And the last one. One that we actually talked about in our 20 favorite Cobra vehicles episode. But the Motor Viper. This is just a great all-around Cobra figure. It could be anything. He's so nondescript, yet awesome looking, that you could use him in almost any type of situation. Great helmet. Has 2 sidearms here. But, I mean, he could be on a motorcycle. He could be flying a helicopter. He could be driving the Stun, which is what he came with. But, and he is awfully tight in the waist, which makes me worry that his O-ring is starting to dry rot as well, so I'm not going to push my luck too much and put him back in his bag. But a great all-around Cobra figure. That's one of the best things about Cobra figures. They're very nondescript, but so awesome looking. Because he's just Motor Viper. He don't have a name. He's just one of many in a legion of Motor Vipers. But anyway, that was another installment of Fistful of Joes. And now, let's take a look at two pieces from my collectibles. Okay. Anybody that knows me knows that I love Dan Brereton. He's one of the best comic book artists, one of the best artists hands down. Dan Brereton created one of the best comics ever called the Nocturnals. And anyone that watches our show knows that right over here is a Nocturnals poster. I always talk about maybe switching it out and moving posters around, but I can't. I just physically cannot take that down. I love it. Oh. And it's something that is not that well known, that I feel like I have to rep it. It has to be seen. But anyway, I'm gonna two pieces. This is the Gunwitch bust. Made by Dynamic Forces in 2001, this is actually number 558 of 999. And what Gunwitch is a reanimated corpse of a gunfighter. Actually, as we uncovered some of his origin, he was a trick shooter in a carnival. But he is an intelligent walking corpse that is the bodyguard to Doc Horror's daughter, Evening. And he has this great witch's hat with the bat and stitched mouth, his two sidearms here. But it has the great colors, the fall Halloweeny colors that Dan Brereton loves using in his art. This is a prized possession of mine. But the second piece is also Gunwitch, but done in the colors that he was portrayed as in the miniseries Outskirts of Doom, where a different artist took on the chore of doing the book. It was written by Brereton, but another artist, and I'm sorry I can't recall the name, drew him. But the colored covers portrayed him in different colors than we'd seen before. More of a ashen white cadaver, not as vibrant colors. And he's portrayed sometimes with pentagrams, pentangles, whatever on his gloves, and they're on there. And there's his sheriff's star and the moons, just like on the other one, but I didn't show, but they're painted gold on this one. Plus his bandolier has more bullet detail than the other one. Also by Dynamic Forces, this is number 95 of 199. I may enjoy the colors of the other one better. Ooh, and you can see here gray hair with his bandana, because there are portions of the comic where he went without his hat and he was wearing a bandana. So that's not really portrayed in this one. Or the hair. So they did a great job, not just totally repainting, repainting the bust, but making it completely original to that miniseries. Now, I have other Nocturnal collectibles that I will share in the future, but I wanted to show these because I love them. These will always be in my collection. These mean so much to me. And it's from a comic that unfortunately doesn't get the respect that it deserves. So please, if you're watching this and you think this dude looks cool, and damn it, he is cool, go out and find some copies of the Nocturnals. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, that wraps up another It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. So keep being rad, stay dorky. Peace!